So who said he'll never cook again? Well, here I am on my new channel, cooking on a narrowboat. Doing a dessert today, and you probably know I very rarely do desserts. This has been brought about because I went and purchased some puff pastry. Yes, I know I bought some puff pastry, but if you've ever made it, it takes forever. Although it is delicious, it just takes me about 4 hours to make the pastry. And I didn't want to waste 4 hours making pastry. So, it was on special offer in Tesco's. So, I went and purchased some. I'm going to make something a little bit different though. What a surprise. I'm going to make an apple and pear tart. And just to have a bit of a twist on it, I'm going to do a ginger and honey glaze. So, let's prep up some pears and apples and get on with it. So here we go with the ingredients I have to make this with. I have my puff pastry, 3 pears, 3 apples, some honey and some ginger marmalade. I may put a few raisins in it as well yet. I haven't decided on that, so I haven't included them at the moment. So let's get the apples and pears chopped up, ready to go. So I have a bowl here, which I'm going to put some cold water in. Like so. And for this, I'm just going to use this cheap squirty lemon and some lemon juice. I'm hoping that this will stop it from the apples and the pears from browning. So we're just going to put that to one side, put it there on the corner of the there. We'll start cutting up. I'm going to keep the skins on the fruit for this. And I'm going to slice them. So it's going to be about 4 slices per quarter of an apple, so I'm going to get about 16 slices out of an apple. I'm not quite sure how much apple and pear it's actually going to take to cook, to make it. I've never made it before. So I'm going to cut up these 3 of each. If it's not enough, I can cut some more. If it's too much, I'll just eat the apple and pear raw. I rather like apples and pears. And that wasn't supposed to be Cockney rhyming slang. Apples and pears, stairs. Well, that's 1 apple chopped up. I'm pretty sure you don't want to watch me cutting apples up and pears up for the next 10 minutes. So I'm going to turn the camera off and I'll come back to you when they're done. I'm actually doing the pears slightly different to the apples. I'm actually taking the core out and I'm cutting them as halves. So the pear slices will be similar size to the apple slices. I've actually only done 2 apples and 2 pears at the moment. I'm going to see how much more I need before I cut any more up. Now I don't actually have a big enough baking sheet to actually cook this on. So I've taken an old roasting tin here. I've turned it upside down and I'll use the bottom of this. So we'll have to see how we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to butter this and then flour it, so hopefully it won't stick to it. I'm just going to take a small piece of butter, just hard, rock hard, it's in the fridge, put that on there. Just going to take my paper towel now, I'm just going to rub that in, hopefully causing a nice greasy barrier. There should be some way of removing the pastry off of it once it's cooked. When you see me cooking, of course, it's all improvisation. Use what you got. So I'll take my flour shaker now. Shake some flour over there. Tap it around. I'm going to get rid of the excess. And then we have it floured, except for where I just put my fingers on it. Now I do. I'll take the pastry. It says take out the refrigerator 10 minutes before use, and I actually took it out about half an hour ago. It took me too long setting up the cameras this morning. We'll see how we go. It might be a bit too soft. At least it shouldn't break as I try to undo it. Well, this is a bit of a disaster, isn't it? Removing the band-aid way, I think. That didn't work either, did it? Well, I've made a complete and utter mess of this. Oh well, let's see what happens. Disaster in the kitchen again. So anyway, let's see how it goes. I'm going to do apple. So strain the water off. I'm going to go apple pear on the slices. About like so. I'm just going to do 2 lines, I think, as I say, I've made a bit of a mess here with everything. So there we have it, my apples and pears. Now to make the glaze. So on a saucepan here, I'm going to add some ginger marmalade, probably enough, and some honey. Oh, honey's always messy, isn't it? There we go. I'm just going to gently warm that through so the ginger marmalade dissolves a little. I still have left over quite a bit of pear and apple because it didn't come out anywhere near like I expected it to. I will sit down and pick at that and watching the TV later probably. While my honey and marmalade is warming up here, I'm going to light the oven. trying to get the honey obviously warmed up very, very quickly. Just try and get that ginger marmalade to melt down a bit. I'm giving it a good stir. It's starting to break down now. You can see it's starting to break down in there quite nicely. And there we go, that's done. We'll come back to this disaster. And I'm just going to drizzle this over it. Saving a little bit for the top. I'm just going to damp the edges of the pastry all the way around here, like so. I'll attempt to fold this back over the top of it, like so, trying to keep it some sort of shape. I'm going to trim up the mess. Doesn't look quite as bad now, does it? Now I'm going to run the knife across and cut some slots in it, about half an inch apart in old money. Whether that is 13 mil, say, perhaps it's a bit wider than that actually. Doesn't really matter. This is one of the reasons why I very rarely do desserts. I mess them up every time. Now, not having a proper pastry brush, I do have a clean, brand new paintbrush. And I'm just going to put some of that over the top. That'll do. I'm also just going to take a little bit of soft brown sugar and sprinkle a little bit of soft brown sugar over the top as well. Now to finish the disaster off, I'm going to put it in the oven. So here we go. Into the oven we go. And there it is in the oven. I'm not quite sure how long this will take to cook. I'm going to check it after about 15 minutes and see how it's doing. I've never cooked it before. Well, there it is, look. I've just taken it out of the oven. It doesn't look as bad as all that, does it? Now we'll have to see how it tastes. I'm going to let it cool down a little bit. Right, so I think it's cooled down enough now. Let's transfer it onto the chopping board. There we go. Doesn't look too bad, does it? Let's have a slice. There we go. And of course, wouldn't be right without some cream, would it? Or ice cream, of course. Pour some double cream over it. Let's get a spoon. The ginger and the honey is quite tasty with it. And taste the pear and the apple. That's tasty. I would make that again. Well, that's the first episode in Cooking on a Narrowboat. So I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you try this one. I'm going to say, I'm not going to leave this episode with saying Trevor out, because that's my other channel. I'm going to say goodbye for now.